The BRICS Business Council in South Africa has confirmed that it has no plans to abandon the US dollar. Earlier, I spoke to Dr Stavros Nicolaou, a member of the BRICS Business Council, who says its focus remains on localized currency settlement to simplify trade between member countries. This clarification comes amid speculations about a possible BRICS currency. US President-elect Donald Trump has threatened to impose a 100% tariff on BRICS nations if such a currency is introduced, warning of potential disruptions to global trade. So to unpack this, we are joined by Harry Scherzer, the CEO of Future Forex. Harry, thank you so much and welcome to On Point. There's been so much that is said, but the one thing we at least know for sure now is that the BRICS Business Council in South Africa has confirmed that they absolutely have no plans to ditch the dollar, as has been reported. But you, in any case, had believed that this thing should not be, it should be not done in any case. Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, good afternoon, and thanks for having me on. So yeah, I think this is something that I welcome the decision of, even pre the incoming President Donald Trump's tweet, which sort of imposed tariffs should we continue with the BRICS currency and BRICS pay. Even pre that, I had my doubts about it, because we've seen in Europe with the euro how difficult it was for a whole bunch of countries to agree on a pricing, and it's caused a lot of issues having one currency between countries. Now imagine doing this with Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. These are very heterogeneous sets of people with different economic requirements. And so it was, in my view, quite destined for failure from the start. Yeah,
do you believe that it is in any case an ambitious thing by BRICS, or it's something that can still be explored, however it needs time?
Yeah, it definitely needs time if it is to be explored, but I think the more practical option is what we're trying to do, which is to localize our currency conversion. So, for example, if we have a partner in India, two corporates, let's say, we have a corporate in South Africa working with a corporate in India, we shouldn't be using the dollar to price our goods. We should instead be using the rand or the Indian rupee or exactly. And that way we cut America out of the equation and don't strengthen their economy through our trade, but at the same time don't have to do something so overly ambitious as a new currency.
Yeah, but let's talk about the strength of the dollar and the fact that it has been used as a de facto currency. I had the pleasure of going through some of some things that you have written on your website, and you talked about the strength of the dollar, but that its future, it's uncertain when you look at the economic fundamentals of the US. Take us through maybe your thought process about that, you know, why you think that the dollar will not be as the dollar as we know it today in future.
Yeah, well, this is what incoming President Donald Trump is scared of, is that if countries lose their reliance on the dollar will weaken naturally, because there'll be less usage, less volumes through the dollar, and less demand for the dollar as a result. And so the reason that he was so aggressive in saying, if you continue with this, you can say goodbye to America as a trade partner, is he almost tried to force the hand of the BRICS nations into continuing using the dollar as the safe haven currency, as the global currency, and as the currency that's the default currency should you not know what to price in. And I think there's a cleverer way of fighting against that and trying to reduce reliance on the dollar than by doing something as extreme as was proposed with the BRICS currency. And as I mentioned earlier, that's simply not using the dollar as the default currency, rather using our local currencies to do so, which in turn would reduce the reliance on the dollar and probably would weaken the dollar if all countries did something like this.
Yeah, there's been a talk, even before this whole BRICS currency story came about, there was already a talk about having a common currency in Africa to encourage intra-African trade. And that has fallen flat on its face, because to get countries with such different rules and economic principles to come under one roof and trade under one currency is difficult enough. Now, what more with BRICS, it started not too long ago. But what do you think going forward, these blocs, when they get formed and want to talk of currency, common currency, what should they be talking about that is of practical importance rather than just, talking, oh, we want to have a common currency? I understand the SWIFT payment system, that the Chinese want to replace, that's something that's kind of more attainable. And maybe you can take us through that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you've highlighted it there, but the idea of creating one currency in Africa or one currency through the BRICS nations is near impossible because people are different across the continent, people are different across the BRICS nations, and they require different things. So imagine having a monetary policy discussion, and let's say Vladimir Putin in Russia asks for X, but Cyril Ramaphosa wants Y. And how are you going to marry the two differing requirements? So it's just impractical. So the question then becomes, what can you do? How can we solve this? And like we've discussed previously, I think the low-hanging fruit here is just to stop using the dollar as the default currency. I think that's the easy way of doing it. And if we want to go one step further, what China have largely been looking at is a new payment system that replaces the SWIFT system. Now, the SWIFT system is a system which is secure, but it's slow, it's expensive, the technology is outdated, it was built in 1973. And so they're kind of saying, well, can't we use something blockchain oriented? Can't we use something with new technology which enhances that? And obviously, the ideal answer is yes, but it would require a lot of testing, a lot of surety that nothing can go wrong with this. And we don't have we can't do that quickly. It has to take time to do that. And so I think if something like that were to come into play, it would take years rather than months.
Oh, wow. Harry Scherzer is the CEO of Future Forex. Thank you so much for your input. We've been talking about what's been happening with regards to the BRICS currency, and he himself was not in favor of it. But the BRICS Business Council in South Africa, Dr Stavros Nicolaou, has clarified here on the SABC News channel that this is something that South Africa is not looking at doing.